In order to program an ATtiny 84 with your programmer, you will first need to install some software on your Arduino Nano. If you already have it plugged into your circuit board, you're going to need to unplug it. Um, and so to do that, you want to grab it right down here on either side of this USB port, but don't grab the USB port itself. You don't want to accidentally rip it off. So I'm going to grab it on this corner here, and then on the other side, I'll just grab it with my fingers there, and I'm going to gently rock back and forth, being careful to go fairly slowly, because if I pull it out too fast, there's a good chance that I'll accidentally bend some of the pins here. So I'm going real slow, and I pull it out just like that. If you go really fast, sometimes what happens is you twist it like that, and you end up bending the pins on one end there. So once I've unplugged my Arduino Nano, the next step is to plug it into my computer, and you can see that this Arduino Nano, every once in a while you might find that when you go to plug it in, it's not recognized for one reason or another, so I'm just going to unplug it again, count to 5, and then plug it back in. Now, you'll notice that this Arduino Nano is programmed with the Blink program, which is sort of the default program for Arduinos. We need to switch that to the Arduino ISP program. So to do that, you're going to need to open up your Arduino IDE. And then you're going to want to go to File, Examples, and then Arduino ISP. And you're going to have to click on Tools, and you're going to have to choose the board. So right now the default is the Arduino Genuino Uno, but we are programming a Nano, so I'm going to switch it to Nano. And then the port for this here, sometimes it's kind of tricky to figure out what port you are. So what I'm going to do is, I see that there's 4 and 5 here. I'm going to unplug my Arduino Nano, and I'm going to look at what ports are still there. So it cannot be COM4 because it's not plugged in anymore. So it must be the remaining COM, which was COM5. So when I plug it back in, I'm going to switch it to COM5, and then I am going to load the program. I have a few extra settings set up on my Arduino IDE so that I get to see a lot more detail right here when it's compiling. If you don't see all of this stuff, that's okay. The thing that you need to look for is that once it's done uploading, it says done uploading. If you see an orange bar here, then something went wrong and you need to fix it. So we have the correct program on the Arduino now to load programs onto ATtiny 84s. So this is now programmed to be a programmer. And for the purposes of this video, we're just going to load a very simple program onto our ATtiny 84. We're going to load the Blink program. So I'm going to go to File, Examples, Basics, and Blink. And I need to make one change in this program. Right now it's using LED built in. I guess 3 changes. I need to switch LED built in to the pin that we're going to use to light up an LED with our ATtiny chip here. So I have a circuit board that's connected to pin 8 that has an LED connected to pin 8. So everywhere I see LED built in, I'm just going to switch that to an 8. And then I need to plug in my ATtiny chip here. So I make sure that the little tiny notch that's at the end there is lined up with the notch on my circuit board. See if you can see that. It's a little hard to see. So I make sure that those are lined up, and then I also make sure that when I'm plugging it in, I'm really careful. I've got to be really careful to line up the pins with the socket there. If I'm off, I might hurt the chip here. So I see that I've lined everything up really well from both sides here, and then I just push it in gently. And then I plug my Arduino Nano back in. And to load the program now, I have to click on Tools, and I need to set the board to a different board. It needs to be an ATtiny 84. I need to set the port. Well, it's going to be the same port because it's plugged into the Arduino Nano. And then I also need to set the programmer to Arduino as ISP. Now, one other thing that you might have to do, it depends on how you get your ATtiny 84. Sometimes the clock that they are set with when they come to you is set to 1 megahertz internal. You might have to switch that to 8 megahertz internal in order to get it to perform well. This uses a little bit more energy, but it performs quite a bit better. So I would recommend just going ahead and making the switch, and then you're going to need to burn the bootloader. You only have to do this once per chip. You can see here it says done burning bootloader. Now that I've burned the bootloader, now that it's set to use 8 megahertz instead of just 1 megahertz, I'm going to go ahead and load this program. And so I can do that just by clicking the load button right here. And here you can see it says done uploading. So this chip now has the Blink program on it using pin 8 as the pin connected to an LED. So I'm going to unplug this from my computer now. And to pull the chip out, you could pull it out kind of like we pulled out the Arduino Nano, but you're almost certain to cause some damage to it. So you want to use a integrated circuit extractor. I've printed my own here. And what you do is you just clip it on either end, and then you just pull, just like that. And then you can take your circuit or your chip and plug it into your tug-of-war game. Make sure you have it oriented correctly so that the little divot here lines up with the divot on your circuit board. And then go ahead and turn it on. And I have mine set to cause the green LED to blink. If you notice, there's a little tiny 8 above that green LED. That just lets me know which pin it's connected to. So we were successful. We loaded a program onto this chip, and we can tell that that entire process worked because we're blinking the green LED.